Thank you for waiting and thank you for coming. We're delighted to see this heavy turnout. We would like to now begin the press conference by the new CEO who was officially appointed as the CEO and Representative Director of Nissan Motor Corporation, Mr. Makoto Uchida. He was officially appointed yesterday as of 1st of December. Now, Uchida-san, please come to the stage.
Please go ahead, Mr. Uchida. Yes, thank you very much for joining us today. I am Makoto Uchida, Chief Executive Officer of Nissan as of yesterday. To begin, please allow me to express our sincere regret for any concerns caused by the events of the past year. I cannot overstate how seriously we are taking this situation. When I joined Nissan in 2003, the company was marking its 70th anniversary. I had been in the world of work for about 10 years. For me, Nissan was a great company. We were a key contributor to Japan's economy, and I felt that our dynamic global business expansion enabled by the alliance with Renault made us a new kind of Japanese company. We enjoyed the well-known strength that came from being a Japanese organization as well as the global value of the alliance, and I saw huge potential for further development. I was attracted to Nissan for these reasons. My first assignment at Nissan was in the Renault-Nissan purchasing organization. My experience encapsulated all of the positives I mentioned a moment ago. I was also highly impressed by the capability of Nissan's people, the ease with which they embrace diversity, and their strength to believe in and pursue big goals. From the early 2000s, Nissan grew steadily. The alliance was a big contributor to this. Together, we were purchasing parts and materials, using common platforms, powertrains, and parts, and sharing human resources. These are just some examples of the many areas in which we made breakthroughs. However, the recent issues around final inspections in Japan and executive misconduct revealed serious operational management issues and weak corporate governance. This didn't just damage our reputation. By trying to hit over-ambitious goals, we caused a rapid decline in our performance. So, how did we end up with all these issues despite all the growth and development we had achieved? In my view, Nissan has always pursued technological excellence and has embraced diverse opinions without sticking too much to a specific set of values. We have created numerous breakthrough products and technologies that were ahead of the curve. Similarly, we achieved management breakthroughs with the alliance structure in order to compete globally. We overcame our financial difficulties in the 90s and put the organization back on the path to growth. I find it hard to believe that all of the underlying management or business principles were misguided. However, I do believe that corporate culture issues arose within our operations. The biggest issue, I believe, was the culture developed in which people had no choice but to promise that they would deliver the unachievable during the goal-setting process. This led employees to avoid taking initiative, working together, or solving issues. To hit over-ambitious growth objectives, people tended to pursue short-term gains. this affected investments in new technologies and products and in the facilities and people that are essential for our future success. In the sales area, one example is the use of excessive incentives to spur short-term growth that ultimately undermined our brand power and profitability. Under the new organization, COO Ashwani Gupta, Vice COO Jun Seki, and I will be working closely with the broader top management team to run the businesses effectively. There are three words that guide me: respect, transparency, and trust. I have often been reminded of the importance of these words while working with Renault colleagues and business partners in purchasing, and when I more recently led our Chinese joint venture. I trust my team. I will empower our people to build a one-team spirit that enables executives and employees alike to take ownership of the direction in which the company is heading and ensure operations that are transparent for all. I intend to build a corporate culture where we listen to customers, dealers, suppliers, and a wide range of stakeholders in and outside the organization, a culture where different opinions are welcomed. To instill this culture throughout the company, we have rethought the code of conduct, the Nissan way, which guides our approach to work. I will take the lead in making sure that the entire organization embraces these changes. As I mentioned earlier, I believe in the strength and capabilities of Nissan's people. There is no doubt that we need to take a global approach to our business and adapt to the societal changes that case-connected autonomous electric and shared technologies will bring. At the same time, we should carefully examine where we are today and think about how much we can stretch to determine the right approach and set the right goals. We have got to set objectives that are challenging but achievable and understandable. So far, I have given an overview of the changes the company needs to make. At the same time, we have to address the immediate challenges of regaining trust and restoring the company's performance. Over the last year, the preceding top management team built a foundation to re-establish confidence and improve performance. One of my tasks is to further develop that foundation. In June, Nissan transitioned to a three-statutory committee format with audit, nomination, and compensation committees. As always, management will continue to be responsible for business operations, while we request that the board closely supervises and monitors for healthy execution of the business. As CEO, it is my intention to respect this operating principle as I steer the company. We are working on a business transformation based on three pillars: rebuilding the strength of our U.S. operations, improving efficiencies of operations and investments, and fostering steady growth through new products, new technologies, and the Nissan Intelligent Mobility. As we said at our first half earnings, we are making progress with our initiatives in the United States and in improving the efficiencies of our operations and investments. Some people have seen this plan as simply about efficiencies and restructuring, but actually, the most important pillar of the business transformation is growth through new products, new technologies, and the Nissan Intelligent Mobility. It is, in fact, a blueprint for our future. It is about being better organized as we develop new models and continue delivering attractive products that customers can buy at the right time and at the right price. We are putting a customer-first mindset at the heart of everything we do, which is as it should be. The importance of this mindset remains unchanged. And to strengthen our readiness for future changes in the business, we have started working on a new planning formula. I will be directly leading this initiative. The alliance is essential to our performance recovery and to our steadfast growth in the future. For 20 years, the alliance partners have been working together on an equal footing, respecting each other and promoting closer collaboration to seek mutual benefit, all based on the win-win spirit. Nissan has enjoyed growth over the years thanks to the alliance. Based on the same principles, I intend to continue our alliance efforts while maintaining Nissan's independence. Behind me, you see a Fairlady's 240Z. This car was a breakthrough in the sports car segment at the time. 50 years later, with the Ariya concept, Nissan is proposing another breakthrough in the form of a new kind of car, a future mobility that goes beyond existing categories such as EV or SUV. To continuously propose new value for customers, we challenge ourselves and make breakthroughs. For this, Nissan is blessed with a solid foundation built by so many who have come before us. This foundation includes our strong Monozukuri DNA and the alliance, which helps us compete globally. Nissan will keep building on these assets, anticipating changes in the business environment and taking on challenges. I want to make Nissan a company that provides value to customers that they can only get from us because we are ahead of the curve. I want to make Nissan a company that sets the trend for the future of mobility and never stops trying to make that future a reality. I want our employees to feel proud that they work for Nissan. If we can do this, we will regain the trust of our customers. In short, my mission is to bring together the capabilities of Nissan people to create a strong driving force for the company. I hope you will continue to follow and support us as we continue on this journey. Now, I would like to introduce you to the new COO, Mr. Ashwani Gupta, to say a few words. Mr. Gupta, the floor is yours. Uchida-san, thank you for the kind introduction. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Ashwani Gupta. It is my honor and privilege for me to be here to speak to you. I am looking forward to working with Uchida-san, Seki-san, and the larger Nissan team. I have been working in the auto industry for 27 years. I have been accountable for every area from finance, design, monozukuri, sales to brand. I was born and grew up in India, a country with diverse cultures and languages. throughout my career, I have been working in diverse regions and cultures around the world. For 14 years, since 2006, I have been working for the alliance companies Renault, Nissan, and Mitsubishi Motors in the most recent years. I joined Renault in 2006 in India, not in only Renault, but I was also involved in starting the business for Nissan. Then I was in joint purchasing for 5 years, and I became a program director of Datsun brand. And then I was in charge of Renault LCV business, and I headed the LCV business of Nissan and Mitsubishi Motors in addition. And as you may know, in 2019, in April, I joined Mitsubishi Motors as COO. Until now, I have been taking on a variety of challenges, and every time I did not overcome it alone. We did it as a team. I always welcome new challenges. Having said that, the challenge ahead is a big one for all of us. The auto industry is in the midst of big and rapid changes. Globalization and localization are underway today, and the global economy is growing more tough, and this is affecting our bottom line. Needless to say, autonomous driving, IoT, connectivity are the changes that are changing the value of the cars in the eyes of the customers, and we are aware of this. Despite the tough environment, we have to recover the company's performance steadily. In this situation, without pursuing volume and rely on incentives, we intend to make sure customers understand the value of our products and enhance the quality of sales. In addition to this effort, we will control the fixed costs and prioritize the investments and optimize costs. At the same time, after 2020, Nissan Intelligent Mobility equipped attractive new models will be introduced in the markets. To this end, in the second half of the 2019, we are in an important phase to be prepared for the new model launches. With this in mind, I will be running the operations. And the auto industry is changing, so in order to keep up with this industrial trend, we have to make quick and clear decisions. Nissan has great history, technologies, and products. More importantly, Nissan has experienced and knowledgeable employees who have been building these assets. My first and foremost task is to maximize the potential of Nissan people, and this is the shortest way to performance recovery of Nissan. Thank you for your attention. Ashwani-san, thank you very much. Now I would like to introduce you to the Vice COO, Mr. Jun Seki. Seki-san, the floor is yours. Thank you for the kind introduction, Uchida-san. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm in charge of performance recovery and product planning. My name is Seki. In 1986, 33 years ago, I was at the Yokohama plant of Nissan. Yokohama plant is producing engines, and I was assigned to the Yokohama plant producing engine. And for 20 years, I was working in UK and other overseas operations, and I learned the challenges of monozukuri in all the regions. To this end, that is why I know the tough challenges and joy of working at the monozukuri gemba. From 2007, I was assigned to production, planning, and program director. And in 2012, I was promoted to corporate officers, and I was responsible for Asia, Japan, and Chinese operations. And this was an experience on the business side. Especially in 2012, the consolidated dealers in Japan, and for 5 years from 2013, I was running a joint venture in China. And after all these experiences, I learned how tough and challenging it is to sell cars or sell products. The quality incidents that we face on the sales gemba and delay on the product introductions. I know how much these issues impact the sales frontline or sales gemba. Today, our monozukuri gemba and the sales gemba and the top management, there's a big distance between the two. In order to narrow down this gap, CEO Uchida-san, CEO Gupta-san, I will work together with these two gentlemen to make improvements. I would like to ask for your continued support and understanding. Thank you. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Now, we would like to start the Q&A session. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We will bring you a microphone. Please ask your question using the microphone. I would appreciate it if you limit the number of questions to 2 per person. Thank you for your kind understanding. Okay, we are prepared to entertain questions. Shall we start? Starting with the person at the front, please. Thank you for this opportunity. I belong to TV Asahi. My name is Hiramoto. One question based on the big theme. As of yesterday and from today, you are officially starting as a leader of this company. And because of misconduct of executives, and there are a lot of things reported around Mr. Saikawa, and now you are new CEO of Nissan. How do you feel? What's your honest feeling now? And the other one, in the beginning, Uchida-san, you mentioned that the final inspection issue and the events around Mr. Gon and the sharp decline of the performance and the relation with Renault Alliance is becoming unstable. The environment surrounding Nissan is a tough one. How are you going to restore or rebuild Nissan? These are my questions. Thank you for your questions. Starting with the first one, how do I feel honestly? As I said in my presentation, Nissan is facing difficulties today. Therefore, first, as a CEO of this company, I am resolved. I have a strong determination as a new CEO. Nissan in the past delivered a variety of breakthroughs and surmounted difficulties. I believe in the capabilities of Nissan people. Having said that, as I mentioned earlier, for example, the system of commitment and target, and in setting a target, a real achievable, did we set really challengeable or achievable targets? There was a distortion in the corporate culture in this aspect, I believe. Therefore, I want to make sure that the employees will show us the challenges to the top management with transparency. And that's the kind of culture I want to create. And top management to support. It's not only about the top executives and employees. If we look at the North American operations, the communication with the regions should be ensured. By doing so, I will like to move Nissan forward. That's the mission given to me, and I'm determined to do this in assuming the CEO position. And you answered both questions? Okay, good. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the person at the front, please. Nikkan Kogyo, my name is Watanabe. Thank you for this opportunity. Since you joined the company, looking back at your career, including your past career, how are you going to leverage on your experiences? And what are Nissan's strengths and challenges today? And the other question, with regards to Alliance, last weekend, Alliance showed that you are going to work on efficiency enhancement. Specifically, what do you mean by efficiency enhancement of the Alliance? And in order to maximize the synergies, do you think of the best way of the capital tie-up within the alliance? Thank you for your questions. Starting with the alliance. Alliance for Nissan is an important competitive edge. In the past, thanks to alliance synergies, Nissan has grown. And what we do in the alliance should be mutually beneficial for all the partners. To be specific, it should contribute to revenue and profit of Renault, Nissan, and Mitsubishi Motors. In the process of evolution of alliance should benefit all three partners, and that's what we have been doing in the past. And we are going to develop on this or make it stronger. And that is why last week we made an announcement of the alliance. And with regards to this principle, Mr. Sonar and Masuko-san and Renault's acting CEO, Mr. Delbos-san, are on the same page. In the near future, we are going to discuss specifically what to do within the alliance. When we are ready to make an announcement, I will communicate it to you. And starting with the first question, my experience since I joined the company. Before I joined Nissan, I was in a trading company. When you are working in trading company, you can build on experience to start business from scratch. And in many circumstances and in many environments, I learned to adapt and do things. That's one of my strengths. So in the tough situation of Nissan, I will adapt to changes and different circumstances, ensure better communications with the employees, and listen to the voices of dealers, suppliers, and customers to make Nissan stronger. And to be more precise, I want Nissan employees to take pride in working for Nissan. That's the kind of a company I want to make Nissan like. This will take time, though. The present situation of Nissan, as we have announced in the first 6-month result, we are losing revenue and profits, so we have to take this seriously. Me, myself, Mr. Gupta, Seki-san, these three people will hold discussion to how to bring Nissan forward and make it better. That's what we are going to discuss and implement. And what are the Nissan strengths? That was another part of the question. Yes, thank you. What are Nissan's strengths? The capability of each person of Nissan. That's one of the strengths. And Nissan is a Japanese company, and Nissan's technology is world-leading technology. We have EV, e-power, Nissan Intelligent Mobility, starting from the Japanese market before anyone else. And we are deploying these across the world. And the alliance is another advantage or strength of Nissan. These are the three things. These strengths of Nissan should be capitalized on or strengthened further. That's my task. And these three factors are particular strength of Nissan. I believe in them. And my job is to make them stronger.
Thank you very much. And again, the person in the front row, please. Nakajima of Yomiuri Newspaper Company. Mr. Uchida, Mr. Seki, Mr. Gupta, I have the same question to... I would like to ask how your role assignments would be, the division of role between the three members. That's my first question. And in relations to the alliance, at one point in time, Renault was eager to proceed with integration with Nissan. And there were scenes where there could have been some breakup of the alliance. You mentioned evolution of the alliance. What do you mean by evolution? What specifically will you be doing? Those are my two questions. Thank you very much. To respond to your first question first, Mr. Gupta, as the COO, will be overseeing the corporate affairs in general, corporate affairs meaning improvement of financial performance and the operations at the Gemba, at the various facilities. Mr. Seki will supervise the structural reform that began this year. He will continue on that mission, and he will also be responsible for the product lineup. And I will be the supervisor overlooking the company as a whole. In the press, it was mentioned that there is the fear of slower decision making with the tripartite partnership, but it will be the reverse. With the strong tripartite partnership, we will strengthen the governance and expedite the decision-making process, and that's the division of scope and coverage between the three, and based upon this teamwork, we will be operating the company. And on the second question with regards to alliance, really, truly speaking from the bottom of my heart, alliance is something that has to deliver benefits to all three partners. What we're doing through the alliance undoubtedly have to offer benefits to all three, benefits including revenue and profits. And we have the midterm business plan, and we will increase the commonalities such as the platform or the components in enjoying further benefits. But if we look at the most recent past years in terms of the navigation of the alliance, I think we're in a position to have to really evaluate the results that have delivered and then distinguish what went well and what needs to be changed. So all three of us must analyze those advantages and disadvantages and come up with a stronger structure in terms of alliance. So, you mentioned management integration, and at this juncture, I've never discussed that neither with Mr. Snar or with Ms. Delbos. For the time being, each partner has its own challenge. So each partner will take initiatives to resolve those challenges and clarify how the alliance can contribute to each of those challenges and structure an alliance that would benefit the revenue and profits of all three alliance partners.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, on the right hand. Yes. Tokyo Kotsu Shimbun, my name is Kimura. Yes, thank you. CEO, you talked about case earlier. Ride-sharing service using your own car. What do you think about this idea? And the other part of question, mainly around metropolitan area in Tokyo, Toyota's Japan Taxi is increasing in number, whereas Nissan has NV200-based global taxi in your lineup, but the number of the Nissan taxis seems to be limited. With regards to taxi card, do you have any approach or strategy about taxi operation? Taxi operation in Japan, I was not deeply involved yet, but going forward, needs will be increasing. So with the person in charge of Japanese operation, I will hold discussion with, and Seki-san is trying to look for business opportunities to increase revenue in the future, and this includes this operation. So we are ready to discuss on this matter. Having said that, with regards to case, in many aspects, we have started working. It's part of the alliance effort too. So in terms of case, Nissan will anticipate the future of auto industry and think of the best way to contribute. We are looking at different scenarios. For example, we do it for China, also Japan, North America. In these important regions, we are discussing what we can do in terms of case. We have just started discussing, so I'm not ready to give you specific details yet. But when we are ready, we will communicate to you. Okay, thank you very much. Yes. Automotive News, Hans Greimel is speaking. Thank you very much. May I speak in English? Go ahead.
Nissan, thank you for today. I wanted to ask about your policy on the unachievable goals. You inherited a midterm business plan that has several goals, among them the job cuts, the production capacity cuts, and the goal of a 6% operating profit margin by 2022. How realistic are those goals? Can you achieve it in that time, or do you have to re-evaluate that midterm plan that you inherited? And second part of the question is, what's the most important thing for reviving the U.S. market, or your sales and operations in the U.S.?
Thank you for your question, Hans. Okay, starting with the first question with regards to the midterm plan. With regards to midterm plan, the environment, depending on the circumstances and environment, Nissan needs to build a plan. Therefore, today, based on what we are seeing in the auto industry, once again, within the company, we would like to hold discussions, and when we are ready, we would like to notify you what we are going to do about the midterm plan. Having said that, in midterm plan, when we look at the current business, fixed costs, we need to have a tight control on fixed costs. This is very important. The preceding top management has been addressing this challenge, and I will take it over to optimize the fixed costs in all the operations. At the same time, when the future circumstances change, while the auto industry is facing changes, we need to work on revenue from new technologies and new models. In this field, we need to think of a way to grow. So fixed costs is readiness, and the future growth will be made through new models, and this approach remains unchanged. And this is the most important thing in looking at the midterm plan. And the second part of question, which is about U.S. operation, when we announced the first half year results, we are making progresses in enhancing quality of sales in U.S. It will take more time. However, in U.S. operation, we need to instill this direction and enhance the quality of sales. As I said earlier, we need to set a challengeable and achievable goal. This is very important. So this approach will be applied to the rest of the world. Therefore, we will identify whether the objectives are challengeable or achievable. And this is how we are going to grow our operation. Thank you.
Imazawa Mainichi Newspaper Company. I have two questions. First of all, what do you think about Mr. Gon? When you joined Nissan, it was right at the climax of recovery driven by Mr. Gon, and I think you were attracted by him. But in the past couple of years, Mr. Gon, the Nissan executives have summarized that he was overgreedy and he was preoccupied for his own wealth. Secondly, I think Renault and Nissan have been discussing fixing the capital structure. Are you going to shelf that for the time being? Thank you. Mr. Gon's concept for revival of Nissan was touched upon in my opening remarks. The concept was not misguided. But what happened has nothing to do with the methodology of operations. And on the capital relationship with Renault, I'm not talking at all with my counterparty on that issue. And as I said, we are focused on what alliance can contribute to the alliance partners' benefits. That's the top priority. Renault is suffering from generating profits. So what we need to focus is think about how the alliance could contribute to the three alliance partners, including Mitsubishi, to the revenue as well as the bottom line of these three entities. So that would be the area of focus.
じゃあ、後ろの
Yes, the person at the back, at the very back, please. Yes.
日本放送
Nippon Hoso, my name is Satanaka. With regards to the Japanese market, I have a question. Nissan's passenger vehicles, you have about 20 models in your lineup, and constantly 4-digit volume is sold by only 5 models. So, what's your future approach in the Japanese market? Dealers, end users, there are many people involved in Japanese market. So do you have any message to these people? And frank opinion from you about Nissan car. Nissan car, what's the attractiveness of Nissan car? What's your thoughts? Thank you for the question. Japan is a home market for Nissan. It's a critical market for us. Therefore, under the leadership of Ms. Hoshino, in Japan, we are carrying out reforms. The other day, I attended dealers' meeting, and in Japan market, there are a lot of concerns arising from Nissan issues. So first, I will focus on regaining trust. I will focus on regaining trust in Japan so that the customers would like to buy and ride Nissan cars. That's what I want to do first. By doing so, we would like to increase the presence of Nissan in Japan. And the second part of your question, Nissan car. I love Nissan cars. In fact, when I was in the trading company, Nissan car was my first car that I bought. That car over there, Fair Lady. That's the car that I bought in 1993. Nissan cars are very exciting. Nissan cars are something what the customers feel the technological excellence and are attractive. That's one of the strengths of Nissan. Therefore, I want to capitalize on these strengths of Nissan, hone them, ensure it as a real strength of Nissan, and communicate it to the customers, and we will work on it as one team to do that. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the person in the middle at the front. Yes, the lady over there. Yes, excuse me. Financial Times, Inagaki is speaking. Thank you for the opportunity. With regards to the alliance, earlier you said that the priority is about contributing to short-term profit and revenue. After you assume CEO position, during this time, have you talked to Mr. Sonar specifically on this area? And if you have done, please give us some information about it. And the second, now, the top executives of Renault and Nissan are being replaced, and FCA and Peugeot are starting talks on merger. And partially, some people are saying that there is increasing demand to ensure stronger collaboration between Renault and Nissan. But the other people say that for Renault and Nissan to hold discussion, there are no longer cars or some advantages that you can capitalize on. How do you see the situation? The second question is about the business of other competitors or other car makers, which I cannot comment on. But let me talk about the first question about alliance. As I said earlier, last week I flew to Paris and I attended Alliance Operational Board, AOB. And in AOB, first with Mr. Snar, we said that Renault and Nissan, has challenges. So by using alliance, I have been saying this many times, but using alliance, we would like to use alliance to contribute to revenue and profit. This is about the short-term challenge. And for the mid and long-term future development, which is like advanced engineering, in these areas, alliance efforts are underway. Therefore, the key here is how to make it stronger and how to deliver the benefits in the short term, mid, and long term. That's what we are holding discussion on.
はい。ですね。じゃあまた、
Again, back to the front row. The person from the far left. Umeda of TBS Television. Overstretched goal setting had been one of the disadvantages of your predecessor management. This is a related question. What's your plan in scaling down the division, loss-making division? There have been some press reports saying that 3 divisions will be closed or scaled down. And new launches are important, you've mentioned, but what's the plan for next fiscal year in terms of new model launches? Thank you. To avoid misunderstanding, I would like to confirm with you. I'm not saying that past goals were wrong, but goal setting is of course important if you're to run a business. Commit and target was necessary for us to pursue growth, and that was a necessary part of the management. But the way goals had been set, in the course of time, many challenges emerged in that process of goal setting. That is my point. So I'm saying that we should be setting a level that people can try to make efforts towards, so that all of us could be oriented towards a shared goal. Now, your second question was on new launches. When the time is ripe, I'm sure I'll be able to make the announcement.
はい。
Okay, moving on to the next one, please. Yes, go ahead.
ビジネスインサイダー。
My name is Otsuka. Yes, right here. The first question, as you said in the beginning, you said you didn't have a customer first mindset. What does it mean precisely that you didn't have a customer first mindset? And you talked about, you used the expression one team. What does this mean? One team. What does it mean? What's the feeling or thoughts behind this one team? Yeah, thank you for your question. The first question, customer first mindset, this remains unchanged. That's what I said. And we rediscovered the importance of customer first mindset, and we have to incorporate voice of customers more in managing business. That's what I meant. And the expression of one team, as I said earlier, there was a culture in which people had to say that they can do it even if they couldn't. So employees' voices and opinions should be listened to and reflect them. As I said earlier, respect, trust, respecting each other, and put everything on the discussion table with transparency, and this will translate to trust. Trusting each other is one team, so the entire company will be united as one team under a common challengeable goal. Employees and the top management will be united as one team to move things forward. That's what I meant. Okay, thank you very much. Yes, the person over there, the other day, the second row, please. Toyo Keizai, my name is Kishimoto. I have two questions, and both of them are related to the alliance. Earlier, Mr. Uchida you talked about what were right and what should be changed about the way you promoted the alliance in the past several years. Alliance has been largely contributing to the growth of Nissan, but today there seems to be some kind of awkward situation around alliance. And Uchida-san, what were the successes of Nissan, and what were the issues of the alliance looking back in the past years? And the other question is, Renault and the French state, which is the leading shareholder, is asking for a merger between the two companies. And Saikawa-san, former CEO, clearly denied the possibility of merger. And Mr. Uchida, earlier you said that you will maintain the independence of Nissan in carrying out transformations and reforms. Does it mean that you are against the merger between Renault and Nissan? These are my two questions. The latter question, I have a simple approach. First, short-term, mid-term, long-term situation of alliance. In the short term, we need to identify what we have to do in the short term. That's what we have to concentrate on. And this is about how alliance can benefit the bottom line of all partners. This is what we need to concentrate as a short-term priority. There are a lot of rumors or talks about merger, but this is just about the framework or something on that is apparent or appears. I have to concentrate on the short-term benefits of the alliance, and that's what Mr. Sonar or Mr. Masuko or acting CEO Ms. Delbos, with whom we are discussing on. Concentrate on what alliance can do in the short term for them partners. That's very important. And the way we proceed alliance, was it? I joined the Renault Nissan purchasing organization. And respecting each other, ensure transparency, identify issues, then this translates to trust. In fact, this is an alliance mindset. In the joint purchasing organization, I have been practicing this notion. And beyond, cross-cultural trust has been built between Nissan and Renault during this process. And this is a success point of the alliance. Having said that, if you look back in the past several years, we find out that in the environment of the auto industry, we saw many difficulties and hardships, and it looks as if alliance was not making any progress. But I would like to rewind it and identify or clarify critical projects and work on them. Okay, thank you.
まだ手が上がっておりますけど。
I see a few more hands, but we are running out of time. So the next two questions will be the final questions. Tanaka is my name. I'm a freelance journalist. I have a question on Asia. And this is related to the excitement you wish to create, especially in Southeast Asia in the 1980s. After the abolition of the Datsun brand, the performance has been constantly declining. And Datsun brand made a revival as a low-price brand. So Datsun brand very cleverly is attracting the Asian buyers as a slightly luxury brand, slightly higher than the quality of Nissan brand. Do you have any vision on how you intend to use the Datsun asset in Asia? As you have rightly pointed out, in Asia, we haven't yet been able to successfully build a presence. We have injected into the Asian market several models. We've implemented various strategies, but under the leadership of Mr. Seki, we're trying to cause an overhaul in the Asian strategy, and shortly we will probably be able to talk to you the new Asian strategy.
最後の質問にさせて
So that was the final. This is the final question. Yes, the person over there, please.
あ、
Yes, NHK. My name is Mibda. So far, there were a lot of questions about the short term or immediate term. And let me talk about future case, mass, and carbon free. There are a lot of problems around the auto industry, and I'm sure you're addressing some of these already. 10 years down the road, 10 years later, in order to become a car maker to satisfy the needs of people 10 years down the road, what kind of car maker is it, and what kind of company should Nissan be in order to satisfy the needs 10 years later? What's your vision here? Thank you for your question. I believe that the car industry will largely change, and we are seeing signs in case and mass. And Nissan should evolve strong technologies of Nissan. Do we envisage specific picture or image 10 years later? I have just assumed the position today, so I haven't envisaged the entire picture yet. But we have started discussing on this matter. So in the short term, mid-term, long term, you talk about long term. And where we are heading toward in long term, this is another important mission or task that we need to address. So we will hold discussions within the company, and when we are ready, I will inform you. Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We ran out of time, so we would like to conclude the press conference. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you very much.